What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. Strap in, we've got a wild ride of a market watch today, but I'm stumbling over my words a little, so I'm going to take it a bit slower, and we're going to start with OTS Pack 20. It's hit the market, it started to stabilize, and I want to remind you, this one was very divisive coming in. People either loved it or hated it, and I feel like it still offers something generic with Ghost Reaper and Winter's Cherries, and I want to actually look at the foiling that comes through on the picture here. I've seen videos, the multi-layering, the zigzags, the crosses. I think it looks great. It's one of the best modern looking ultis and it fits in with the Ghost Girls. I think this is a winner long term. Personally, while I'm not a financial advisor, I don't know the future of what every single card price is going to do or where it's going to go. I really like this one, but I would still wait for it to get cheaper most likely. It's at the bottom though, and a super rare is stealing a lot of attention from the ultis. Herald of the Orange Light here. The super rare is a nice version and people are looking forward to it with the Ishizu tier stuff. People just gotta have any version or copy. So as the OTSs continue to get packed, more of these will be out there, but people are actively hunting this. Kind of reminds me of Fossil Dig, where it was an actual up rarity version of it, and it was like $7 to even $12 during the meta days of dinosaurs. But let's go back to the top end here. Sky Striker Ace Ray is selling like hotcakes around that $90 mark. People have been waiting for this one. It completes the set along with all the links, and it goes in the main deck, and there's sellers still lining up at this price. And as you continue to see this packed and pulled, people will want something back from their locals experience. They'll want money to be able to put it into other things, so people will keep on selling this card. But a lot of people anticipate long term this will go higher. And then Aluber is here in the middle, fighting for his life in the metagame. It looks a lot nicer than the Prismatic Secret Rare version in my opinion, but the Prismatic Secret, half printed and still looking pretty good, offers not too much competition to this ultimate rare. You do see sales here consistently bouncing between 70 to 80, and the only listings right now are 75 and quickly up towards 80. My thoughts are, again, you're going to see more of this pulled. You're going to see a lot more copies hit the market until the next OTS pack. That could be 3-4 months and could take a long time. So as quantities continue to be pulled, we'll see where these decks are at and cards, but I think a lot of those prices will end up probably coming down a bit. Lava Golem was played over at the YCS, saw success, and I always think of another card whenever I see Lava Golem. We'll get into that in a second, but this card for the dual terminal version is spiking and other versions are going up, and DT buyouts over time. Some cards do see success. Lava Golem's one of them. Others of them just continuously fall out, and you can even see how versus like buyout modes in the past, well, it was up here, it comes back down, and it's spiking back up right to around there, where $36 are the lowest prices on the market. I feel like Lava Golem gets overhyped a lot, but does earn his place within the metagame. Sphere Mode also similarly gets overhyped at times. The playable God card, and it's so low on quantity still. This had buyouts after buyouts coming in towards Sprite format. It was supposed to be bowling for Sprite boards, and that doesn't pan out the greatest, but people are still playing it. And be aware, it's still very low on quantities and sticking up in price versus where it was at. A new Pharaoh rare was leaked, I suppose. I was gonna say revealed, but it was leaked. And I really don't like the choice. It feels like a shallow tie-in into the Crystal Beast starter deck and Battles of Legend. It just doesn't fit, but I love the card Crystal Bond. I just don't like this. A collector rare would have been much better looking in my opinion. But speaking of Mavens, TCG player presales are still jokes, and looking around at what's selling out on presales, yeah, it's the Ishizu stuff, of course. Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily also selling out of a lot of it now, as well as Sky Striker Mobilize linkage going there. Maybe people have a lot more hope for this deck than I thought heading into this format. You still, over at Gamer's Choice, code WETSGOOD5 for 5% off, and to support the channel directly, have everything up for sale right now, but they're the last cheap hold that I've been seeing with the Ishizu deck cords. And when I say cheap, they started out cheaper, but pretty much everyone's selling out at these prices that have it up, and TCG Player has it up towards $35 per freaking Ishizu card at this point. Speaking of Ishizu, often overlooked is Necro Valley, which fits the theme. The Duelist Saga version is spiking up here, and that's a pretty cool rarity in my book. But yeah, worth 21? Probably not. I think this is going hype into and member berries with this, but yeah, it is consistently going up here, and the ultimate rare is going haywire again, reaching towards all-time highs. Like, it's had crazy buyouts before, but, you know, a low price of $169, not so nice. Getting crazy out here with with people actually spending that kind of money on them. Darkwing Blast has had time to settle as vendors have, you know, gotten in their shop, chopped up the set, started to put more out there, gotten stuff from their locals to list. Fenrir is towards 55 instead of 60 at this point. I did mention that I was surprised at how this was $28. Cartesia, well, she's down towards 20-ish, with, you know, the 21, 22s being the sales recently. And then we look through the rest of the set, and yeah, it's coming on down. Sprite Sprint isn't 18 anymore, it's towards 14. Spellbound is more towards 13, and you have these cards starting to settle besides Magnamut, which everybody does seem to want a playset of or to have access to. Also, you have the Karma Cannon here towards $5. Unicorn sticking around 7 as people do know this deck gets better. And a lot of eyes are on Druid Swarm, which people are kind of going, well, I don't want to have a Magnamut 2.0. I might as well get the rest of the engine through the supers. And it's pretty cleanly staying around $3-ish. Did we forget to reprint something? I don't know. Did we really? Yep. Medolce Salon doesn't have a reprint, and there it goes, just over time, continuously climbing in price. And now it's like a $24 card and quickly climbs towards 30. So if you have this sitting in your trade binder, be aware you might have some more money than you thought you had, because last I looked, this was like 15 to 16, and I wouldn't have thought to look at this without the Discord. Also, Cypher Soldier, if you know why this is spiking, please let me know. Also, regular Prismatic Kinetic Soldier up like a buckish versus market price, not the craziest thing. This Prismatic Secret Rare gives me a lot of nightmares as a Six Samurai player, but going through, why Cypher Soldier? Is it like specifically for Cypher something? Let me know in the comment section down below why this is going. And if you're eyeing this version, this is a super rare out of TFK, which is a very infamous game promo set, which is why it's up so much. Book of Eclipse is getting eyed by a lot of people, as is Book of Lunar Eclipse. I want to remind you there's cheap versions of both of these cards before we start talking too in depth about them. There's a dude copy of Ultra Book of Eclipse, which quality control, yep, with dude can be kind of terrible, but they're still around quarters. And when it comes to Book of Lunar Eclipse, it's the Starlight that's skyrocketing. We've talked about how this one could have a format one day and could be speculated on, and people are looking at the rank 7 OCG deck, how terrifying it's going to be, and I still like Book of Lunar Eclipse a lot more. It deals with an entire board, it clears things without a cost, and since you're already flipping everything down, you're likely to deal with it, where Book of Lunar Eclipse, you're pitching a card, if anything negates this or stops this, it just doesn't seem as good to me personally, and pitching the card if it's going to get banished can trigger certain effects. So I definitely like Eclipse over Book of Lunar Eclipse. But yeah, this card's secret rare OG version is also going up. I've called it a penny stock before. I've said it could have its formats, but it needs multiple things to go right. It needs to deal with specifically 2 things, and it needs the discard cost to end up being good for the card. So while I respect it as a penny stock, and there's a lot of speculation here from the OCG, personally, I'm Team Book of Eclipse normal. Let me know your opinion in the comment section down below on these. A lot of people have heated feelings on Eclipse, like, it's so underestimated, it'll have its day, versus, yeah, cards trash. And here we see heavy speculation on both from OCG formats, and again, if you're dealing with a board, I personally like this card because it's unlikely you're going to leave things that are going to get flipped back up to where they actually get to draw cards off of that, right? But again, cheap copies exist for both of these cards, so this is more the top end and people going crazy like it's going to end up, you know, ending that way over here. And finally, I wanted to look over at the Charmer since I ended up seeing that thanks to the Starlight Book of Eclipse, the Lunar Eclipse, and yeah, this is insane to me. These have had triple, quadruple, quintuple down buyouts, and now you see the Light Charmer here, lowest listed 800 and actually selling consistently up towards 700. I did not know things were going that way for the Light Charmer. And then the Dark Charmer, which has been seeing a lot of play in the conversation of topic, it's been above 500 for a little bit now, but every single Charmer is just flexing and coming up in price and lower in quantities, it feels like, with the Earth one bringing up the rear. Somebody in the comment section had a really good point that I'm surprised it's not being talked more about with the Ishizu stuff coming out here and on the line. I don't know. I feel like it could end up seeing some play, but I don't think it's going to mass take over within that. And the one that doesn't see a ton of play, the Water Charmer, is the one that's at 1,000. This is pretty much fan service, rarity collecting, gotta have them all and complete the sets and have an impressive binder page or pages if you're going for play sets. That's more what's happening here. It's a collectible for the sake of being collectible that sometimes ends up being playable. There's cheaper versions, of course, which when we're talking 1 out of 8 to 10 cases, I think the Wind Charmer is the only one that's 1 out of 8 cases. Correct me if I'm wrong. But when you are looking at a specific Starlight, you have 5 different Starlights in a set, and you pull 1 Starlight every 2 cases, so you're looking 1 out of 10 cases to see one of these cards. The popularity is there, and the themality is there to bring it back up, which is why I go back to this. The Ghost Girls are very popular. Each time we see in the future the likelihood of another Ultimate Ghost Girl or a high-end Ghost Girl, what do you think is going to happen to this card with its crazy foiling, etc.? I wouldn't rush out and get these, but I would slowly think about getting them, maybe using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. Thanks for hopping on today's Market Watch. I told you I'm stumbling on my words a little today. I really appreciate it. It's been a crazy week, and hopefully things do actually calm down a little here. I'd like to be reaching into other subjects. You all seem to be enjoying when I'm doing that, and those videos are doing the conversation ones better than they ever have.